Nightmares versus night terrors. What's the difference? Is there a difference? Let's look at this because they are very different things and you need to treat them and respond to your child very differently if they're having a nightmare versus if they're having a night terror. Hey, I'm Ryan from DreamyDad.com, helping you understand night terrors and control your child's night terrors. So let's have a look at nightmares versus night terrors. What is the difference between the two? How can we identify them? And what can we do to help our child through these things? So let's just first explain that they're not interchangeable. A lot of people might call a nightmare where they're having a dream that is a scary dream. They might call it a night terror because it's such a vivid dream and such a vivid experience, and it really is terrifying for them. So they might call a nightmare a night terror, but they're not actually interchangeable words, and they're two very different occurrences. The only similarity they have is that they both happen while you're asleep. So let's look at nightmares, which we'll all understand, and then look at night terrors, which are a different beast altogether. So nightmares generally occur during the REM sleep cycle. So you'll go into light sleep, you'll fall into the REM sleep cycle where your eyes flicker around a lot, and this is where your mind is really active, and this is when you dream. And so a nightmare is effectively a dream that is quite scary and quite makes you quite afraid. So nightmares are very vivid. Nightmares are things that you can remember. So often when you wake up, you'll remember the nightmare that you've just had. Even though the memory might be a bit sketchy, like you might not remember everything, you'll remember having had a nightmare, and you may remember elements of the nightmare. You don't necessarily move during a nightmare. It's rare for people to move around while they're having nightmares. So this is, again, it's just like a dream state. You're in a dream state, your body isn't moving, you're just experiencing all of this in your head. And often you can wake up quite terrified from a nightmare because you may not have realized that you're actually having a dream, that it wasn't actually reality. So you might wake up terrified, wake up scared, and that is what a nightmare is. We have nightmares that adults go to bed with a winter doona on in summer, and you'll probably have a nightmare. If you get really hot, you're likely to have a nightmare. So when our children experience nightmares, they might come into our room and come in crying and scared, saying there's a monster, or I had a nightmare, or I'm scared. They might be very upset, very fearful. And so what most people do when their child has nightmares is to either mostly just take the child back to bed, sit with the child, say nice things to the child to try and, I guess, get their mind focused away from what they've just been dreaming about towards something nice. Something that we do as a family is when either of our children come in and they've had a nightmare, is we'll go in and we'll then pray for them that the nightmare will go away. We might pray for angels to come into the room. And then what we'll do as parents is pray for that our child will have good dreams, and then we'll start to describe some things that they might dream about. So they might dream about puppy dogs or flowers or going swimming and having lots of fun with their friends. And so we're implanting these ideas into our child's mind to both calm them down, but then also to redirect their attention. So hopefully when they fall back asleep, they have a dream about something nice. So that's nightmares. Night terrors are extremely different. Night terrors generally occur between sleep cycles, not in the REM sleep cycle. And you're not actually conscious for a night terror. You're not actually aware, or our children are not actually aware that night terrors are happening. Whereas a nightmare, we're having a dream and an experience in our mind, but our body isn't moving. A night terror is basically the opposite, where our body is moving, but we're not actually conscious, we're not actually aware that it is happening. So night terrors will often occur. Your child will wake up suddenly, or appear to wake up, crying or screaming. They might even thrash about. In older children, they might run around the house as well, and they're very distressed and very difficult to console them. So they're very upset, often they're fearful, and if you try and help them, you try and cuddle them or console them, then they often resist you, and it makes the situation worse. So night terrors occur when part of the brain wakes up. The part of the brain that makes your body move wakes up, whereas the part of the brain that receives input and is conscious is still asleep. And so you've got this the motor cortex or motor area of your brain waking up, so the body is moving, but the part of the brain receiving inputs is asleep. And so with night terrors, there'll be no recollection of them in the morning with your child. So really there's no point talking to your child about these night terrors because they won't remember that they happened. And if anything, you'll do more harm than good talking about it with them because they made them be fearful about going to sleep and may cause them to be stressed, which could lead to more night terrors. So the cause of night terrors is not unknown. Part of it they believe is hereditary. Part of it they believe may be as a result of stress. Some night terrors can come from drugs or prescription medicine that your child is taking, but a lot of children just get them generally between the ages of 2 and 6. Will get night terrors, and often they will grow out of them. So night terror is very different. Nightmares, you're not moving, you're having a vivid dream that is scary that you're likely to remember. Night terror, you're not awake, you're not conscious, but your body is moving and you're having a tantrum. So when our children are having night terrors, they don't know that it's happening. And so if we actually get to the point and we can wake them up, they'll often be quite dazed and confused, not knowing what has just happened. Okay, so if your child has night terrors, how do you deal with night terrors? Well, in the moment, night terrors are very hard to deal with because your child won't respond to your inputs. They won't hear you, they won't feel you. And often if you try and restrain them, then they'll fight against you because they don't know it's a loving comfort of a parent. They will just thrash out. And so in the moment, depending on how long the night terrors are going for, it can be best to just leave your child, even though it's really hard to do. But what we want to do is actually stop those night terrors and stop them from happening in the first place. And there's 2 solutions to night terrors that aren't medication. There is medication for serious night terrors, but that's more for adults, and it's Valium. So it's going to knock a kid out. And so we probably don't really want to go down that path. So the 2 solutions, one is called scheduled awakenings. And so this is before you make a note of when the night terrors happen with your child. And then before they have their night terror, about half an hour before, you go in and you wake up your child, keep them awake for 3 to 5 minutes, and then put them back to sleep. And you do this for a 7-week period, and clinical studies have shown that if you do this every night for 7 weeks, a follow-up in 12 months' time will show that in most cases, the night terrors haven't reoccurred and haven't come back. So there is that solution. You can wake up your child. However, it's difficult to know exactly when to wake up your child. And also, there's a situation where you should never wake a sleeping baby. Well, that's what we're taught by our parents. And so I find it difficult to do this solution because I don't want to wake up my son after he goes to sleep. It takes so much effort to get him to sleep. If I'm going to wake him up and go through that entire process again, that's not something that I really want to do. And I want him to get a good night's sleep and not have interrupted sleep so that he has a lot of energy and is happy the next day. So the second solution, which is a better solution, but it does have a cost to it, it's a product called Luli, which is a vibrating disc that goes under your child's bed. You can purchase it on Amazon. You can check it out. Go through my affiliate link if you don't mind. Go to dreamydad.com/Luli, L-U-L-L-Y, and you can purchase that through Amazon. It's not going to cost you any more, but I will get a small commission attached to that. So Luli is a vibrating disc that goes under your child's bed, and it's connected to an app on your phone. And in the app, you input information about your child, like when they go to sleep, how long it usually takes them to fall asleep, and then also when the night terrors most frequently occur. So what time do they occur? And Luli will then give you a notification and say it's time to turn Luli on. You'll then go into your child's bedroom, activate Luli using an app on your phone, which will sync to the Luli wirelessly over Bluetooth. The Luli will then vibrate for 3 minutes, or you turn it off if your child moves or wakes up. And so it'll vibrate, and then what this does is it resets the sleep patterns in their mind and make sure that the mind doesn't get out of sync. And so my son used to have night terrors about twice a week or so, and now since we've had Luli for a couple of months now, night terrors are basically extremely infrequent, like once a month, once every 2 months, if we have them at all. So Luli is a great solution, and I love the fact that you don't have to wake your child up and go through that entire process. And also it doesn't interfere with my daughter, who sleeps in the same room. So I can manage my son's night terrors, stop them from happening without interrupting his sleep patterns, without interrupting my daughter's sleep patterns. So at the moment on Amazon, I think it's around $129. And if you're outside of the US and Amazon won't ship to you, there is a company called myus.com, which you can sign up for. They'll give you a US address that you can ship the product to from Amazon, and they will then forward it on to you in your country of choice. So this is the only product on the market that actually solves this problem at the moment. I know I've done a lot of Googling on this to try and find other things out there. This is really the only product that will help you solve your child's night terrors. And so if you're not in the US, myus.com will help you get it to your country. There's a little bit of an extra cost obviously with international shipping, but it is totally worth it. If you've gone from having night terrors and you know how anxious it makes you as a parent, how emotional it is to see your child in that state and to not be able to do anything, to having a vibrating pod under their bed and then to stop having night terrors, it's absolutely worth the cost. So go ahead, check it out, dreamydad.com/Lully, that's Lully, to check that out through Amazon. And I really appreciate it. If you found this video useful, go through my affiliate link if you want to purchase it, because it does help keep this site going and helps me to create more content so we can help reach more parents whose children have night terrors. I want no parent to have to go through this experience, and with such a simple product out there that fixes the problem, I don't see why everyone can be night terror free. So I hope that this has been helpful to you, showing you the difference between nightmares and night terrors. Obviously, they're extremely different and should be treated differently. And so if your child's having night terrors, definitely either do the schedule awakenings or get the Lully. And if your child's having nightmares, then comfort them, try to distract them, and hope that they go to sleep and they have better dreams. All right, guys, that's it from me today. Until next time, sleep well.